Hello everyone and welcome to the course preview flyover for the Little Bear Flex Start. The Little Bear Flex Start is brought to you by the Southern Ohio Disc Golf Association, and this preview video is brought to you by us here at CRDG Productions. I hope this video helps everyone get a little better idea of how they want to attack this course, especially for those of you who have yet to see it. Now, Little Bear is a little friendlier version of Black Bear, whereas you only play 9 of the 21 holes, but you play them through in a loop twice to give you 18 holes. This is a Flex Start C tier, and we'll just start here at hole number 1. Coming in at just over 340 feet, hole 1 is right straight ahead of you. But like all the rest of these, this will play with the same out of bounds rules as the rest of the holes during the actual Black Bear Amateur Championships. That being said, the road on the right and long, parking lot left are all out of bounds, and that ditch in the middle is going to be hazard. Unless you have a solid 260 to 270 feet of distance, just lay up short of the ditch and then pitch up to the basket. But if you do have the distance, definitely try to chase it and get your round started with a really good birdie before getting up into the woods. Okay, hole number 2 is a 200-foot par 3 that's going to go straight up this fairway and up this incline, and then bend at about 45 degrees left and straighten back out to the basket. Now there are a couple different routes for this hole. We're going to be flying the most commonly used fairway, which is typically something slower like a mid-range, maybe even a slow fairway driver that's going to hyzer flip here at the corner and then proceed straight on into the basket. There's also a gap over to the left that you can use to execute a backhand turnover or even a forehand. Either way, whichever you choose, be mindful of the green that does slope pretty hard from right to left. Hole 3 is the first of 3 par 4s that you're going to see on this layout, and it's going to start off with this straightaway gap. For those of you who are familiar with the course, this is one of maybe not the most intimidating gaps off of a tee on the entire course, but definitely one that you want to hit and hit very pure. Now you can take the super aggressive shot to the right hand side of all these trees and play very close to that bank with a hyzer flip. However, one kick or something that fades out a little too much and you're going to be way off the fairway and in a position where you can barely save par. A left to right moving shot, whether it be a backhand turnover or a forehand out about where the drone is flying now, is probably going to be the best shot with whatever disc you can honestly execute that confidently with. Now, right around here is where the absolute best drives are going to be landing. Whether you are left side of the fairway or pushed all the way to the right side, either one will offer you a very good approach into the green. It just depends on what you like. If you like the straight shot right at the basket, the left side of the fairway is where you want to be. And if you like a forehand or big backhand turnover, then you'll want to be pushed a little further to the right side to open up that shape. Now this tree that's right on the right side of the frame right now, you shouldn't have to worry about it because it actually got cut up right after I filmed this. Now anything landing to the left hand side of the basket is probably going to feed down this hill and give you a very obstructive putt, so just try to play it safe and get back to the right. And then we will actually move over to hole number 16, which is hole 4 for the Little Bear. Like I said, we're going to be skipping around a couple holes. This is going to give you a taste of Black Bear without actually having to fight the bear. It's a good little warm-up for the event. Now here, we're going to start just tracking down the back half of this course, starting again with 16, where you have two choices off of the tee. Whether you go straight where the drone is flying now with something that's going to move right to left, or try to hit a little narrower gap off the tee, but hitting a fairway up on the left-hand side, moving from left to right, that actually opens up the further you get out. It's pretty well the exact opposite. One, you have a pretty little more wide open shot but narrows, which is this gap that we just flew through, or hitting a tight gap directly off the tee and then widening as it gets closer to the basket. Either way, don't move to the right too far, otherwise you could sail all the way down and out of bounds across the road. Try to land soft up here on the green, or maybe even bounce off that log and try to skip it in. Alright, hole number 17 is our next par 4 coming in at 540 feet. Now there's going to be a lot more out of bounds on this hole than you might typically be used to, especially the line that's going to cut in from around the tee all the way up to the corner of the tall grass there on the right hand side. All of that tall grass, anything over that line on the right, or anything in the tall grass on the left is all out of bounds. And that line wraps down and around the basket in green and actually gets fairly close inside circle 1 once you get down closer to the creek long of the basket. Now, excellent drives are going to be landing right up here near the short pin. However, it's going to take a lot of really good execution to get something that is going to land just perfectly without going out of bounds or hanging it too far right and catching the trees. Try to set yourself up with a good accessible shot into the green that this leaning tree on the right hand side isn't going to block off. Now, just bear in mind that this green does slope pretty far down and away as you approach the basket. So anything coming in with too much air and too much glide is going to keep going right into that creek and out of bounds. If you punch in early either right or left, you're going to have yourself a very, very obstructive putt if you do stay in bounds. The safe play is probably going to be landing up here on the bank and just playing for par. Hole number 18 coming in at just shy of 570 feet. Now, this hole, the tall grass is not out of bounds. However, you still would do well to really avoid going in there. It's really thick and can eat up a disc like none other. So again, this is a par 4, and this is a true two-shot par 4. There isn't really too many chances to try to get an eagle look because they're two very distinctly different shots. Your tee shot is going to want to push straight up this short grass of the fairway, kind of obviously, but try to push in just below these tree branches, or if you can control the distance between the trees there on the left-hand side of the fairway and the trees on the right, if you can get something airing through those, you can really push some serious distance down, even chasing after the short pin of this hole. Now, if you land up on top of those buildings, you do have the option of going to the drop zone, which the drone just flew over. It will be marked very well. It'll be very hard to miss. Now, good drives are going to be landing right through here and start giving you a couple options of how to access the green. There's a pretty wide window that the drone is going to get ready to fly beside right about now that you can access with a couple gentle right to left moving shots, or you can continue straight down the path and try to move really hard to the right to access the basket that you can see coming into view now. Now the drone is going to be continuing to pan down that straight gap, kind of the path that's going to be going straight and then hook to the right to the basket. So this is going to be more popular with the forehand players who's going to get something very overstable and try to get a big flare skip into the backside of this green. Now just pay in mind though that if you do choose this option, the creek that is long of the basket as well as the one to the left of the basket are both marked as out of bounds, so you really need to control the distance and how much ground play the disc does get. This basket is also elevated, which is going to lend a little more difficulty to the putt. Hole 19 is the first of our temporary holes down here in the bottom, and again, you have a couple choices off the tee. The drone's going to be flying the backhand righty hyzer shot, which is kind of a low punching shot that's going to get straight across this creek and then start moving left without necessarily dumping. You want to split the gap between the sycamores and oaks on the right-hand side and the cedars here in the center and left side. If you can get through that gap right there, you're going to be aimed up right at the basket. Now, this is going to play kind of like an island. You have to cross the creek to be in bounds, and there's also an OB line long and left and the road up on the right. Now, if you do cross in bounds but land out, you can take it where it goes out. But if you never cross in bounds, or if you catch that tree early and never quite make it over the creek, you'll be proceeding to the drop zone. Now, there's also a left-hand gap, which we're going to turn around and take a look at really fast, that really favors the solid forehand or lefty shot. Pick your poison here, either one can net you the birdie. Alright, hole 20 is a 316-foot par 3 that looks right out in front of you. However, this does go uphill a fair amount, and there is OB riddled all over this hole. First and foremost, the beach area on the left is going to be hazard. So if you do air out over there and land, you're going to be taking a shot from the beach with that extra stroke penalty. Try not to kick any of these trees because it definitely can bring that hazard into play. All of the rough long, as well as the road on the right, are both going to be out of bounds. Now right here at this mini basket is where the full-size basket will be. Don't worry, it will grow into a full-size basket by the time this rolls around. Now this green does slope pretty severely from right to left, so if you do stall something out and it starts floating back to the left, you really can bring the lake into play. And then you're going to be faced with a really long putt or approach shot all the way back up the hill just to try to get up and down to save the bogey. This really does require a touch shot going through that main gap with just a little bit of left to right movement. And now for the island hole. This is the feature of the course, and you're just going to try whatever shot you have in the bag that you can confidently get 230 feet and land inside the circle, because that is the size of the island. Whether you take a forehand stalling shot or a backhand straight at it shot, if you try the sky highs or around the pine tree, whatever way you want to attack this, you have to land inside the island in order to be in bounds and have a putt. Otherwise, you're going to be moving to a drop zone, which is about 45 feet away and puts you staring directly back at the water, which the basket only sits about 4 or 5 feet from the edge. Oh, and if this hole didn't need to be any harder, this is also going to be an elevated basket as well, about 6 foot off the ground to be exact, making that putt even more nerve-wracking. All of the stress of the round is likely going to be compiled coming in on this one hole. And with this being the Little Bear layout, you have to tackle this thing twice. That's right. As soon as you get done with this on your first go-around, proceed right back up to hole number 1 and do it all over again. That way, you'll have 18 holes and you'll get a second look at all of these different shots. That way you can make some adjustments and, make some improvements on the first time through. I hope you guys have enjoyed this course preview for Little Bear, and we hope to see everyone out there. You can pre-register on Disc Golf Scene, or we accept day of. I'll see you guys out on the course. Take care, guys.